Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mihai Cornel Grosu, and I would like to introduce myself, my presentation about Sir Alex Ferguson, the person who is the leadership form in Manchester United into one of the most successful clubs all over the world. In this analysis, his leadership style will be the area that will be looked at, especially as to how he used power, influence, and ethics will be used two of the most popular theories of leadership to make sense of the approach that was followed by Ferguson throughout this presentation. The trait theory and the transformational leadership, I would to discuss how these theories coincided with what Ferguson did in real life and the extent to which they contributed towards making his successful and high career. This presentation analyzes the leadership of Sir Alex Ferguson by using trait theory and transformational leadership. Trait theory examines inborn traits such as confidence, determination, and others that can change the successful practice as a leader. Transformational leadership concentrates more in a vision inspiration and need to motivate followers in order to go beyond their expectation. To assess leadership role of Ferguson, the concept of power and influence and ethical decisions will also be applied. The objective is to figure out the role the particular traits management approach and ethical behavior of Ferguson played in making Manchester United successful and to conclude how these perceptions can contribute to personal development and leadership. When Ferguson joined Manchester United in 1986, the club was struggling to perform, and he was left with a lot of empty hands to deal with. At the beginning, the poor performance resulted in extremely and internally driven. Rather than surrender, Ferguson concentrated on reconstruction by means of tight discipline and creation under the most famous summary. Class of the culture beginning along which prioritize and even in the circumstances of failure show resilience and strategic thinking. Such initial attempts were crucial in establishing his leadership abilities because slowly but surely he turned into a powerhouse. Ferguson implemented, despite the leader abilities, Ferguson triumphed despite the all odds stacked against him, which made him stand the test of time, leads the position of the most successful and long-term leaders in football. Elite football is pressurized terrestrial, a global industry under which the managers are pressured by the owners, media, as well as fans. The key to success should not be narrowed down to winning, but management of the brand and its financial and the strategic vision as well. Managers will have to juggle between sporting performance and the business aspects of sponsorship, merchandise, and international outreach of funds. The position does not stop by just tactics by bots into the marketing into organizational development. The leadership style of Ferguson was to show how resilience, innovation, and strategic clarity are very necessary. That could keep his performance to the level that this modern football has changed as significantly in more important role of leadership when it comes to ability well and maintain success within the industry accumulates billions annually in revenues. Trade theory contends that some individuals are better leaders because of the innate personality qualities, confidence, intelligence, sociability, and determination. It suggests that leaders are born rather than made in this characteristic distinguish successful leaders. Although this theory provides practical background in terms of finding out the potential of leadership qualities, which is subject to limitation. The critics that ignores context, relationship, and influence as well environmental influences. It also does not provide advice in leadership in other people. Nevertheless, this bashing trait theory has been used in leadership analyzing and learning behavior in various initial references points analysis realization of leadership behavior. Sir Alex Ferguson portrayed the fundamental leadership skills, namely discipline, confidence, decisiveness, and resilience, which defined the success of Man United. He was disciplined and demanded a lot of his players. He managed to reconstruct the team despite criticism. He was sure in his long-term vision. Ferguson could make big decisions as a selling stars player in order to have a better team spirit. His trait enabled him to bring the club through the different seasons and challenges and changes. These characteristics did not only motivate his crew but also develop a winning culture that will be used to maintain the supremacy of the club in more than 20 years. The trait theory is effective in the description of the main phrase leadership into the success of the remarkable qualities of confidence, discipline, resilience in the case of Ferguson. His leadership carries out characteristics mostly related to high-performing leaders. Nevertheless, the theory bears a impressive weakness. It presumes that leaders are born and ignores the significance of setting and adjustments in surroundings. As another example, situational adaptability and strategic thinking were not only traits that made Ferguson successful. Moreover, the trait has the very little practical application in the cultivation of future leaders because it fails to deal with the question of the cultivation of traits. Therefore, through its follow elaborating his success, it does not portray the complete picture of leadership. Transformational leadership has its focus on inspirational and motivational elements to get followers to reach collective objectives and margins. It tends to concentrate on vision, sense of moral purpose, and bonding, which promotes innovation and leadership development. Transformational leaders are also teams by imagining an attractable future and mobilize individuals to achieve it. They promote trust, fair play, and meaning in the organization. Sir Alex Ferguson was an exemplification of his style and his insistence of producing the young unity on the team and the evaluation of strategies with the times. The transformational styles of leadership that was lived in ethical was expressed through his skills in transforming the moral and concomitant commitment in Manchester United. A perfect example of idealized influence was Sir Alex Ferguson, who became a venerable role model gained in trust players with integrity, discipline, and hard work. He also set high standards of coaching during the game, acting as an example of team was always a priority compared to personal egos. Even such popular moves as sales of Beckham, Keane, inspirational motivation was also applied when Ferguson had his high role set, conquering the world football and expressing his clearly his faith in winning was contagious, which pushed the players to share his vision. Another form of individualized consideration used by Ferguson was development of young talents such as Beckham and Giggs, and they were given guidance by Ferguson according to their strengths and weaknesses. French and Raven adopted six bases which are representational of power success or sources or simply the powers that can be used to leadership when manipulating their followers, and they are legitimate power, coercive power, reward power, referent power, expert power, and transformational power. Interestingly, it was his ability to use power that characterized his leadership style, especially that he used media to his advantage and equiness, so he brought building the team spirit. As the 2003 situation in which Ferguson kicked some boot, which in David Beckham illustrates clearly he exercises his coercive and legitimate power. He strengthened his authority and lack of tolerance to ego, insubordination, even the star players. The framework of North focused on ethical leadership and insisted on the necessity to gain respect. He honest, act fairly, by a servant and community builder. All these ethical values were shown in the leadership example of Ferguson through his rock shell. The leadership styles used by Sir Alex Ferguson is a mix of trade theory and transformational leadership. A culture of success was supported with his personal attribute, discipline, being confident on the right path, decisiveness, and resilience. According to trade theory, it has been a great idea in assisting me to understand my leadership traits. Through the reflection, some of the most important attributes of discipline and confidence, I have realized how such attributes can motivate performance. According to trade theory, it has been a great idea in assisting me to understand my leadership traits. On the high side of leadership, Ferguson, it has been important to note that need ethical leadership, especially when power and integrity are in balance with leadership. The next profession that I want to achieve is HR managers, where I implement both transformational and ethical leadership concepts to achieve staff development and organizational